So the first one is, when I looked at SUV as an option, the designated investors seem focused a lot on IT, which is good technology, and oil and gas, not good for me as a non-driver. Do you expect the list of designated incubators, angel investors to grow?
Most certainly, because that's kind of obvious, but it sounds like the listener is asking, I check around, nobody accepting my application. Remember what I said, if no one is accepting, maybe they have a reason. So if somebody offering the project that is completely not innovative and no one is accepting, it's like the man complaining about all the ladies in the world rejecting him. Maybe something's wrong with you, buddy. That's what I tell people, honestly. Like, let's take a look what you offering. And sometimes it's worth to, if the person is smart and inventive, we just say, okay. And by the way, I call it cultivation process. We sometimes work with the client and they say, well, listen, Alex, we have this. I said, I wouldn't approach any designated organization with that, because that's so, like, I know where you're coming from, and people sometimes convert into a startup because it's more flexible, it's more approachable in terms of how many people can participate. And you will see the third part about comparison with PNP. And PNP business, it's not generally suitable for startup visa program. That's the truth. So when I say this, I mean it. When you have a hammer as a tool, every problem looks like a nail. Don't act like that. Don't have your project and walk around and say, will you guys accept it? Will you guys accept it? Oh, I don't see any organization accepting. Maybe it's not organizations. Maybe because it's you offering something outdated or brick and mortar. Like traditional business, there is no innovation. The program was created for innovative businesses. Yes, you're right. I want to be fair. IT sector seems to dominate, but so fintech, biotech, we have certain things about clean tech. So many things exist on the market right now that government of Canada generally support. All you need to do, just exercise. Remember what I said on slide number 3 or 4, when we assess the client, go back to that slide, please, and check your situation from your, it's because it seems like question is from the person who is actually looking for support, not from, sorry, practitioner, if I am not mistaken. So go to that slide and assess yourself against those questions I ask usually my clients. Okay, next question.
Yeah, so he's saying that he meant the fields in which they wrote, the designated investors, seem to be focused on these things. And the point is, where are new groundbreaking areas that are being advocated for?
Oh, it depends. I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow one investor will come on board of certain VC or somebody, and somebody say, well, we're interested in oil and gas, but we interested from the perspective of, I'm personally considering one investment on my side, for example. It's in oil and gas, but it's exploration. It's accelerating the process of assessment of the well, and obviously that's something innovative, because remember how many abandoned wells oil companies have, and oil is on our radar for another 50, 60 years. So we have a run, we're considering, but so many investors. And we're talking about a situation when you have to be open. That's what I plea with my clients all the time. Like, if I see somebody who is stubbornly insisting on something, I say, well, we cannot, you're not flexible enough. You're not flexible enough. How can I work with you if you're not flexible enough? I'm not asking you to change religion, for God's sake. Just change your mind in terms of approach to business or the problem you're trying to solve. That's what I'm saying.
So another question is, can you name some areas where your clients have been successful?
Oh, yeah. We have quite a few. Yeah, if we're talking like not too granular, it's IT, it's maternal care. We have few projects we defended and it was quite successful. I liked it. We going into alternative medicine, believe it or not, that's good. Biotech, alternative energy, clean tech. We just received landing invitation for clients who are interestingly enough service industry. So I cannot be specific. If the idea is innovative, remember that's why I think this seminar is powerful, because if you learn, if you're willing to learn, you see what I mean by innovation instead of invention. You don't have to invent anything, you have to innovate. And when you're innovating, you're trying to commercialize. Okay, so in this case, dear listener, that's a great question, but don't be fixated, because if you fixated on something that you have, it's hard to get through. Okay, so we have certain success in areas where people say, oh, we would never think that you can find innovation there. But yeah, if you approach like one of the success, yeah, I just mentioned their most recent one, but we just actually landed the person who actually they came on work permit. Landing is coming very soon because we're already in a streamlined process for settling. So that person invented the new personal clothing line in terms of innovative approach to fabrics and how that fabric can complement the certain area, a certain group of customers. It's very unique if you think about innovative approach and practical. Don't forget, you're talking to investors. Return on investment is a primary focus. If I'm an investor and I'm assessing this, see the difference for me, for example, I practice, but I think as an investor, like I walk in their shoes and I say, well, will I invest in projects like that? No, it's virtually not investable. If it's not investable, how can I talk to investors and say, hey, would you like to take a look? Or how can I represent the person who is arrogant and not accepting the terms that investors have own opinion? So those things are very, very much considered in this startup visa field. Next question.
Yep. What exactly is the difference between support from venture capital funds, angel investor groups, and business incubators? Is it only the amount of commitment?
Good question. Thank you, Rhonda. That's a very critical question, because obviously it's amount, yes. Also, I would say from a practical standpoint, when we work as venture capital firm, we rarely even consider, this is a stage of investment pretty much for people who are not familiar with investment strategies and investment industry. But basically it's a stage, because seed capital, it's only for investors who actually risking a lot, angel investors who understand the risk and willing to participate in risk investment. But venture capital firms rarely invest in something so undeveloped. They usually go for round B, and obviously they have certain things related to develop business. They want to see how business progressing. They want to see sometimes first year revenue, second, third year prototype. That's a difference. Amount, yes, 200,000 versus 75 minimum, but I saw situations when angel investors invested 100, 150, or 200. It depends on the appetite or the know-how, the idea. It depends on the interest. Incubators obviously promise to support, but you have to be very careful what they promise and will they deliver, because if you don't see that, you have to be very careful. But yeah, in general, that's the difference in size and approach and stages of financing.
Okay. What happens if your business fails?
Well, good question. I think I covered it, but let me repeat. Fails after or before. If business failed before you get PR, then you have to be very careful, because obviously in this case, what happened? Well, in this case, obviously there is no ground for you to be in Canada, right? So that's what I address in the PR submission pages. Because in this case, there is no ground, because you're not participating in business where you have control and business is not active operational. But if question, most of the time I have this question related to post PR, and because sometimes people address it Well, again, sometimes people read what I call internet junkyard. They don't know where people publish what, and they read old information about entrepreneur program. And then on the entrepreneur program, you got your temporary PR status for 3 years, and you have to prove that you can pull up the business and build it, and then you get your permanent status. That program failed for obvious reasons, because government didn't have any tools to control, and compliance was enormous, and people complained and people didn't follow. So that program perished. But basically, people sometimes read and say, well, no, I heard that they will take your permanent residency away if you fail after you land. No, because after landing, that's what I tell my clients, relax, let's focus on success. That's what I tell my regular business clients. If people come in here, they new immigrants, they want to establish business, I always tell them to say, don't be afraid. Be entrepreneur is great in this country. Go for it. And then if you fail, you fail. Same here. If you start a business, you have full intentions, and you try, and you're not successful after you arrive on PR, well, so be it. But government clearly and explicitly, if you read actually one of the first questions government responded, I believe in 2015 on FAQ section of the website, it was exactly that. No, we're not going to take your status away, because we kind of carry responsibility. And by the way, on that topic, why they kind of flexible on that? Because the arrangement was between private sector and government, that private sector share the risk. So don't forget about that common sense. If that risk shared, well, government understand that somebody inside Canada sharing the risk with applicant, well, let's give them a chance. So no, it's okay.